most important thing is your happiness. If you're happy to go to a 9 to 5 job, do your hours, come home, be with your family or with your friends or whatever else you want to do. If you're happy doing that, great. As long as you're happy. But if you're not happy, then you've got to ask yourself, what more can I do?
Welcome to the Brown Girl Rising podcast, where authenticity meets empowerment. I'm Urvashi, your host and your guide on this journey of elevating voices, sharing stories, and navigating the journey of resilience. So, let's dive in. Hello, ladies, and welcome to the Brown Girl Rising podcast. This is your host, Urvashi, and today I have, oh my God, I cannot wait for this one. I have Sadhna, and we are going to be talking feminine embodiment and empowerment and stepping into our power, and I'm so excited for this episode. So let me introduce Sadhna quickly. She is a mind-body transformational specialist and a second-generation homeopath. She has a passion for healing, and this has lasted and spanned over 30 years of experience. She works with energy medicine, ancient wisdom modalities, modern neuroscience, and a lot more. And Sadhna is all about addressing the root cause so that we as women can live a healthier, happier, and more healed life with a holistic and natural, personalized way of working with ourselves. Okay, so she's passionate about helping women and children unlock the power they hold within them. So this is going to be a really exciting conversation because I feel like Sadhna and I are very aligned, and the first time we met was incredible. So Sadhna, how are you? Welcome to the Brown Girl Rising podcast.
Oh, I'm really good, thank you. And thank you so much, Urvashi, for having me here.
You are more than welcome, my love. Listen, before we kick off, I have a really potent question for you. And I want to ask you, what does self-love mean to you?
Okay, so self-love to me means actually honoring yourself. It means talking to yourself like you would talk to your best friend. It means putting your needs first, which is so difficult at times.
Yep.
Self-love means, I think self-love means making time to discover parts of you, to bring out the most authentic, powerful version of you, because we all have that inside us. So self-love, yeah, it's quite broad. Self-love means different things to different people.
Absolutely. And the thing is, I believe that you can't completely love yourself if you don't know the darkest parts of yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, until you've discovered the whole of you and honored and accepted the whole of you.
Acceptance is a big word, isn't it?
Yeah, that's when you embrace the whole of you.
It is, absolutely. So let me ask you a question. You just said self-love is talking to ourselves in a way we would talk to our best friends or that person that we really care about. Why, as women, do we find it so hard to talk to ourselves in a nice way? We are so, like, we look in the mirror and we go, oh, look at my tummy, or we look at my hair, look at this and the other, oh, I'm not good enough. But then if our friend said that to us in a conversation, we'd be like, girlfriend, what are you talking about? You are beautiful. Like, why is it so hard for us to say that to ourselves?
You know what? It's a really good question. And I think a lot of that comes down to conditioning. And I think it comes down to how we were brought up, because I know for sure that I was never brought up. I was brought up with a lot of love around me, but I was never brought up to embrace the whole of me. I was never brought up being told that you're amazing and don't let anyone ever put you down. I was never brought up to speak my truth.
And the thing is, when you say like you weren't brought up to speak your truth, you weren't brought up with your parents like, telling you were incredible every single day. Now, that's, I think, a specific generational thing. And I think I speak about this in a lot of my podcasts. It goes back to the fact that we were colonized. And then we had to come to this country, or we came to this country and we had to make a life for ourselves, or our parents had to make a life for themselves, right? And they didn't have time to nurture in the way maybe we needed that nurturing because they had to put a roof over our heads. They had to put food on the table. They had to put us through schooling and all this kind of stuff to give us a better life. Do you
Yeah.
agree? What do you think?
Completely. I completely agree with you. And don't get me wrong, I'm not blaming. I'm not
Yeah.
blaming
Oh,
like
not
my
blaming
childhood or
because
anything like that, because you think about it, our parents probably were never told that. Our grandparents, they were very much in their masculine energy.
Mm,
It's all about doing, doing, doing all the time, getting by, getting through the day, pleasing everybody and all that kind of thing. But I think with our generation, and certainly with my children, I've brought them up to stand up for themselves and to honor themselves and to not let anything get in their way and to discard it.
mm,
Because until they learn to understand and respect themselves, how can you expect
mm.
anybody else to do that for you? And that is self-love.
That is self-love. And just
It's,
quickly going back to like our parents, I genuinely believe that they chose as their purpose to be born in that time, to do that, to lay the foundation so that we could come in and
yeah.
that we could expand, we could grow, we could serve the world in our own way. So, we can only be thankful for them, really, can't we?
Completely, completely. And like you say, we all choose to come into this life in the same way that you and I have chosen to, and the next generation too. So yeah, we're all coming here to evolve, aren't we?
To have that human experience.
Yeah, absolutely. We're all learning all the time.
100%, 100%. So, Sadhna, I want to ask a little bit about your journey to becoming, a transformational specialist and a homeopath. I know that, when you were younger, you grew up in an environment which is quite challenging with a narcissistic person around you. Can you maybe tell us about that situation or your kind of how that kind of navigated you towards what you're doing today, your purpose, essentially?
Yeah, I think, that there's so many aspects to how I got to where I am today. I was brought up in a really loving home.
Mm,
My parents were amazing humans and they gave me all the love in the world. But I had a sibling who was very challenging and life was difficult. Life was difficult with my brother.
mm,
There's no denial about that. I think those that know me from that time would know that. You can see it.
yeah.
So I think, I was very controlled by my brother, not my father, not my mother, but my brother.
Mm.
And, it was quite suffocating at times, the way I dressed, the way I looked, the way you know, behaved, whatever, everything was being watched by him, my older brother.
Wow.
And yeah, yeah. So I had a relationship with him, which was probably not like 99% of other siblings. I still look at other siblings and think, God, wish I could talk to my brother about things like that. Or I wish we could go out to the pictures and I wish we could go shopping and, stuff like that. But it didn't happen really. Or if it was to happen, it would be on his terms.
Right.
So, growing up was quite a scary place to be. I didn't know what was going to happen in the home from one day to the other. He could get
Parents
quite
had no
aggressive.
control
Sorry,
and
sorry.
your parents had no control.
No, they didn't. They did up to a point, but after that, as he got more and more aggressive, it was like we would just pacify him. And mental health issues were there, but he wasn't willing to accept help. So there's not a lot we could do about that, really. And just cope, find strategies for coping. So life was difficult. And I mean, the words narcissist and all that, they weren't around in
It
the
didn't exist
80s.
to say.
We didn't have computers. We didn't have the online world. You just didn't know really about these things until now, really. It's all out in the open. So yeah, so life was difficult. So I left home to go to university away from home intentionally just to find myself, just to
Oh,
breathe,
wow.
to
Okay.
breathe, to breathe.
And I guess, like, you are a few years older than me. I guess in that time, a girl leaving home to go to university must have been like a really big step as well.
It kind of was because, I didn't want to go to a London university. And my mum was saying, why aren't you going to a London university? And I said, No, I don't want to. I want to I want to experience the whole uni life, you know. So that was fine. You know, it worked out okay. I had 3 years away from home, and it was brilliant.
Mm.
But yeah, so yes, that was where the narcissism came from. But you know, from that experience, which went on for decades, quite frankly, you know, this experience, this fear, this underlying fear stays in you at the cellular level, you know, not just for me, but for my family as well. But really, we're mirroring him, and in him was a lot of fear. And that's what he was projecting to the world, you
Mm.
know. So he didn't get himself sorted and put us in this state of fear and his control, if you like. And that's what you see in abusive marriages these days, right? It's a very coward-like act that, you know, partners can perform on their partners. And it's really not very nice because the impact it has on your health is huge.
But
So
then they say that you cannot change a narcissist, and it's because of their experiences of life that they become like that, right? So, you know, I had a narcissist coach on here at one point in season one, and honestly, like it's so mind blowing the things a narcissist will do because it's all about them,
yeah,
their supply.
it is. It completely is.
You
And
took you away from the situation, which meant you took his supply away.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, you're absolutely right because I mean he's no longer around. He would bless him, he was a beautiful soul, but very, very difficult to live with, even till the day he died, which was in 2021. He was on his deathbed, but there were some things about him he was not going to change. He was not going to change, even on that last night of his life. So, yeah, so you have to find strategies to cope with these
Mm.
situations, or you have to remove yourself. And the thing is, from the way I've got into this health world is my father was a homeopath, so I'm a second generation homeopath, but I can see the impact that these experiences, these traumatic experiences have on your physical and mental health. And
Mm.
that's where I come in with all the work that I do with homeopathy, with neurology and everything else.
So, for someone who doesn't understand what homeopathy is, can you give a short overview of what it is and how it works?
Homeopathy is a natural system of medicine. It's been around 200 plus years. Okay, it was invented by a German doctor, medical doctor, who was so disillusioned with the results he was getting in his medical practice. The principles of homeopathy are like cures like. So I have all these books behind me. These are all homeopathic books that I use to understand a person on the mental, emotional, and physical level. So I may have two people coming to me with diabetes or migraines or, you know, digestive problems, but they will be given two completely different prescriptions because their prescription is based on their mental, emotional, their history, their hereditary aspects, so the whole person approach. So it's a really beautiful way of working. And I work a lot with women and children, particularly children on the autistic spectrum.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so like cures like.
Mm.
How can that be? You can't cure hate with hate.
Brilliant. Yeah, you can't. You can't. So let me give you an example. If you've got insomnia or you're having difficulty sleeping at night, and you're drinking a lot of coffee and the coffee is keeping you up, okay? If you create a remedy, we call it remedies. So this is what they look like.
Little vials, okay.
Yes, little vials. So if you give a remedy that is prepared from the original substance, which is coffee, right?
Okay.
In a particular way, it's processed and prepared in a particular homeopathic way, you can help that person sleep again.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So if you've been stung by a bee or a wasp,
Mm,
right? And your hand has swollen up, it's red, it's burning, and it's really hurting you and it's stinging. If you were to give a remedy that is prepared from Apis bee sting, that's what it's called, Apis mellifica.
mm,
If you were to give a remedy prepared from that substance, you could take that swelling down
mm,
literally
mm,
instantly or in
mm.
minutes.
I guess my only layman's correlation to that is like how they, when you go abroad, you go on holiday and you need to get like an injection because that country has a specific, thing like typhoid in their water or whatever it is, that they actually inject you with a little bit of that so your body becomes immune to it.
Yes,
But
yes.
I guess that's my correlation,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Yeah.
That'd be correct.
That's a good way. That's a good way of describing it.
Yeah,
But a
amazing.
complete, yeah, without the chemicals
Yeah.
and the fillers.
Yeah, exactly. And the injection. Oh God.
Yeah.
So you do so much more than homeopathy. And one of the things that, I was drawn to you because of the feminine embodiment work that you do. Now, a few moments ago we spoke about your brother, and when you were talking about him, in my head, the first words that flashed up were unbalanced masculine. Right. So I want to talk to you about what is the divine feminine and why is the divine feminine rising at this time? Like it seems to be a buzzword that what, 5, 10 years ago, nobody would have been talking about.
Yeah.
All of a
Yeah.
sudden, there's a
Yeah.
divine.
Yeah. So, yeah, it is a bit of a buzzword. And sometimes I find that a little bit off-putting, actually, because, you know, all it is divine feminine is basically embracing the whole of you, every aspect of you. And this is what the divine feminine is about. It's about your truth. It's
Mm,
about honoring you. It's about honoring the whole of you. And it's about not hiding away anymore. You
mm,
know, it's about really tapping into your potential, into your inner guidance, into your intuition,
yeah,
and trusting and really trusting the whole of you and trusting the way life is panning out for you. It's about surrendering, knowing that whatever you're going through is for your highest good, and there's going to be something to learn from this, whatever it is.
yeah.
It's about, yeah, it's about honoring, it's about trusting. And so really the words divine feminine, divine masculine, these words are used just to contextualize and bring some sort of understanding to our minds
Mm,
about different aspects of us.
yeah.
That's
So
all.
yeah, so obviously I've done a fair bit of work on the feminine, and when I was younger, and we've spoken about my situation in terms of I was sexually assaulted at university, and that led me, in fact, I became very masculine way before that, but that led me more into this unbalanced masculine. So I went from, I didn't even go into unbalanced feminine, I went into unbalanced masculine. Like I became a protector, I became like quite aggressive in the way I saw relationships even.
Mm.
And so it's magical that actually with a little bit of work, with a little bit of understanding, listening to your body, stepping back and actually doing the healing and trauma work, that actually now I've gone from this unbalanced angry masculine tendencies to a more, I would say, a balanced feminine energy as well, a more divine feminine. Like I listen to myself, I know myself, I know my worth. That's one thing that a lot of women don't, is actually know their worth, whether it comes to the relationship or the business or the career or the salary that they're getting, for example. But as a divine feminine being, or embodying your divine feminine, like with the research I've done, there are two parts, right? There are the balanced feminine and the unbalanced feminine,
Mm.
which is more that manipulative, needy, using sex to get what she wants. How does one lean more into their balanced feminine?
Yeah. Yeah. So I think, the unbalanced feminine and the unbalanced masculine is the distorted part of us.
Mm.
Yeah, it's the opposite of the divine part of us. And
Mm.
these are quite often lower vibrational frequencies that we are experiencing. So, in there will be fear, there will be anger, there will be hurt,
Mm.
there will be sadness, you know. So, more of some emotions than other. So, if you're feeling a lot of fear, then you are going to be wanting to control. You
Yeah.
know, if you're feeling anger, then you are going to be, projecting that out in the world, you
Mm.
know. Sorry, you're going to say
Yeah, no,
something?
no, I was just going to say, and again, that's the whole like attracts like thing, isn't it? So if you're projecting
Yeah,
that angry masculine or unbalanced feminine, then as much as you want something else for your life, until you work on that and you start projecting the balance side of you and the more embodied and, receiving truth side of you, you won't get that. So it's the
no.
law of attraction, essentially.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you've got the distorted aspects of the masculine within you, you're going to have the distorted aspects of the feminine within you,
Mm.
because it's like a happy dance that they're doing together. The distorted masculine is feeding the distorted feminine and vice versa. But as you start to raise your vibration and work through these things and experiences you've been through in life, and as you start to heal, as you start to recognize what you've been through and acknowledge what you've been through, and you start to learn from that experience and reframe it into a better way of thinking, feeling, being, you're raising your vibration. And as you raise your vibration, your frequency is rising to more and more of the divine within you. And as you move more into the divine feminine, you're going to move into the
Yeah.
divine masculine.
Yeah. So let's talk about that actually, because some people may be out there going, well, I'm a woman, I'm feminine, I'm not masculine, but we have both within us. We have masculine and the feminine within us. Can you tell us how different they are and kind of how they work together?
Yeah, yeah. So, yes, so let's just look at the divine feminine. The divine feminine, she knows what she wants,
Mm.
right? She trusts herself,
Mm.
right? These are energy patterns within us. We've all got them, the masculine and the feminine,
Yeah.
regardless of our gender, regardless of, who we are.
Yeah.
There are traits within us. So, she knows what she wants, right? She knows what she wants and she knows she's going to get it and she knows it's on its way. And the
Mm.
masculine within us is, right, so what can I do to get that for you?
Mm.
What action can I take to
Yeah.
provide you with what you're looking for? And the two work together. Someone who's overly giving is very much distorted feminine,
Mm.
because they feel that in order to be approved, in order to be approved of and feel valid and feel wanted, they've got to go over and above what they should do. So the action they take can be quite aggressive,
Yeah.
you know. So that's kind of like how they work together at different levels.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's like the feminine you or the divine feminine you is trusting, is knowing, uses her intuition, and then the divine masculine you is like, okay, how are we going to get there? What's the action that we take? What's the direction? So, say for example, you're running a business and you're leaning into what it is you want to project for your business, and you're like, you use your intuition, your inner goddess, as I like to call her, comes out and goes, you know what? This is what we want. And then
Yeah.
your inner masculine king or whatever you want, a god, comes out and goes, yeah, okay, that's what we want. So this is how we're going to get there.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a beautiful
Absolutely.
dance.
Isn't it? It is. It's such a beautiful way of being. So we just need to ask, don't we? We just need to say,
Mm.
how can I do this? How can I get this? And we just need to listen to our inner voice and it'll just tell us. The answers are there. They're all inside us. We don't need to look outside of us.
Mm. We don't.
Yeah. And that's what we don't do. And the we rely too much on the outer world, the logical world, the way everybody does things in the world, that's the way to run things for us. It doesn't work that way. It might not work for you. And the logical world, the logical thinking is so limited.
It is so limited. We live in
So,
this 3D matrix. We live in this life where, the Rothschilds or like whoever owns the world is like, right, or the top 1% are like, right, this is what we're going to do. We're going to put in governments, and then we're going to put in schools, and everyone's going to have to go through this same process of growing up, and then, going to university, then getting married, then getting a job. Yes, we've got them like locked in to a job now, and then you die. And this is
yeah,
one of the things, like as a child, I remember literally I used to spend a lot of time just looking up at the stars and going, what is the point? Because I could see people around me, older adults and things like that, like just literally working and working. And then we'd get a 2 or 3 week holiday a year, and then it'd be back to work, and there was stress, and there was mortgages, and there was this. And I was just like, but why? What is the point of all of this? Because actually, at the end of it, we retire. And when your nervous system calms down, two things can happen. It can get too calm and you can die, or you get a
yeah,
few years and then you die anyway.
yeah,
What is the point? And
yeah,
those are the questions I used to ask myself. Like I didn't get it. But now, and I don't know about you, but I see us as, you know what, we're here to love, we're here to learn, and we're here to serve, right? And this is kind of like the last iteration of our spirit before we go into eternal light. And I know I'm probably going a bit woo-woo, but I know you're quite spiritual as well. So I just wanted to know your thoughts about it all. Like, what is the
yeah.
point of it all?
I know, absolutely. And that's exactly what I look around me now and I think, gosh, if only you could really tap into you and your potential, your life would be so different. If only you would allow yourself to think beyond the walls that you're confined to and the thinking that you're holding on to. Uh, your life is infinite. You have so much potential. You can achieve whatever you want. You just need to believe and work on yourself and trust yourself and just go beyond
Let's talk
what
about the
you know.
science behind it all, because I know that you're into your neuroplasticity and understanding the mind and the mind-body connection and stuff. So the mind and the body are connected. And if we change our thoughts, we can change our life, right? And it's through vibrational frequency. But how does one get from that low vibrational, feeling depressed frequency where life's hard, they have to work, they have to do this, how does someone ease themselves up into that higher vibrational frequency where they can go, actually, I choose to do this job. I choose to earn money in this way. I choose to attract the lottery win, because there are people out there who will be like, yeah, I'm going to win the lottery tonight. And guess what? Hey, presto, they do.
Yeah. I think you've just answered it. It's your thoughts.
Mm.
It's the decisions you make and the choices you make. That is what is going to dictate your life. It's nothing outside of you. You are not your circumstances. You are your state of being. So until you decide, right, I'm done with this life. I'm done with feeling like this. I can't do this anymore. I'm not going to waste my life. You have to decide that I am here and I am not going to waste my life anymore. You have to realize how precious life is,
Mm.
how special life is, how blessed we are to be alive in this here and now when so many people are losing their lives left, right, and center, and at earlier and earlier stages. I think until you get that awareness, you're not going to change. You've got to decide, you've got to make a choice. And then once you do that, you're just opening up a whole new universe.
Yeah.
All the resources will come your way, but you've got to open yourself to receiving.
You do. And I think it takes something big for somebody to open themselves up, because I genuinely believe that so everybody has a purpose, but not everybody's purpose is like ours, to spread light and be a light worker. Okay. Some people's purpose is literally to live that institutionalized matrix life, because
Yep.
that is what they were born for, right? And I think the people who realize that there is more that they can open up are those people who go to the deepest, darkest souls, that dark place of shit. What am I going to do about my life? Right? I don't want to be sat on this couch anymore, eating pizza, drinking Coke, and watching movies all day, right? Or playing games all day. I need more. So I genuinely believe that those people who put on this planet or who've chosen to be on this planet as light workers to change the way, to have a bigger life, have to go, have to
Yeah.
have a challenge, have to have a situation which they need to lift themselves out of.
Yeah.
Like mine and
Yeah.
yours.
I agree with you completely. I suppose at the end of the day, I think the most important thing is your happiness. If you're happy to go to a 9 to 5 job, do your hours, come home, be with your family or with your friends or whatever else you want to do. If you're happy doing that, great. As long as you're happy. But if you're not happy, then you've got to ask yourself, what more can I do? So everybody's level of happiness and what gives them happiness is different,
Mm.
and there's no right or wrong.
No,
There's
there
no
isn't.
right or
It's
wrong.
just that there are different paths for people.
Yes, absolutely.
Ah,
And we've all come into this life to learn if we
yeah.
choose to learn and then one day go.
Yeah. And leave a legacy if we can to change the planet
Yeah.
for the
And
better.
that's if you want to.
That's if you want to.
Yeah.
That's if you are called to. That's your
Yeah.
purpose,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Yeah.
Amazing. Listen, I could talk to you all day because you do so many beautiful things. But I want to ask you if someone is in that kind of place where they feel like they are leading with their unbalanced or unbalanced side of the masculine and the feminine, how would you guide them? Have you got a few tips you can guide them into that more balanced and that divine masculine feminine?
The first thing I would say is start to look for things that made you happy as a child.
Mm.
Go back to that. Whether it's painting, drawing, cycling, it can be anything, playing tennis. Do something that makes you happy, that you loved, and bring that inner spark back out in your life.
And then just
Um,
see what happens.
and see what happens.
Because when you open one door, so many other ones open, don't they?
Absolutely,
That
completely.
tennis match might lead you to, I don't know, your new partner or a new
Yeah,
job or anything, right?
yeah,
When
yeah,
you take that first step, the universe goes, okay, I'll meet you there.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So what lights you up? What gives you that lovely warm feeling in your heart?
Mm,
And just follow it. Just follow
mm,
it. Because there's something for everybody.
yeah.
It's just discovering it.
Mm,
Sitting with yourself, asking yourself, and just asking yourself, how can I do this? Instead of why me, why me, why me? Why is it that everybody else is okay and I'm not? Just say, how can I feel that? How can I be that? How can I choose that? The how,
yeah.
and see what opens up for you.
I love that. It's beautiful. So, Sadhna, if anybody wants to get in contact with you, whether it's for their homeopathy or whether it's working with you and coaching or, whatever else it is that they need from you, how do they find you, my love?
Oh, well, my website's rebalancinglife.com. So that's my website. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, X, LinkedIn. I'm everywhere basically. I've got some really wonderful different modalities that I help my clients with, from homeopathy, which deals with the mental, emotional, and physical, to working with neuroscience. I've got some beautiful programs, and I've got a new one that's coming out next month called Optimize Your Life, Discover
Mm,
Your True Self. And that's a 3-month coaching program online, which is just going to be so profound. So yeah, lots of things. Just take a look on my website
yeah.
or just get in touch.
And then your Instagram handle?
It's Rebalancing Life.
Balancing life. That is beautiful. So, Sadhna, listen, thank you for being here. I've loved having the conversation with you. And I know that it's really short, but we've been going for about 40 minutes.
Wow, already.
Right? Um, So we are going to leave it there, and you never know, I might get you back on to continue this conversation, because there is so much, and that we can go so deep when it comes into like our spirituality and our masculine, feminine, and all of that stuff that you are so good at. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me. It's an absolute pleasure for me to be here, and I feel so honoured to have been invited by you, Urvashi. So thank you,
You're
thank you so much.
definitely helping the brown girl rise, and you are definitely a brown girl rising yourself. So I appreciate you. Guys, the next episode will be out next week. And also follow me on I Am Unlimited Urvashi or browngirl.rising. We have Embody coming out in a couple of weeks. And if you want one-to-one coaching, you know where I am. So thank you guys, and I will see you on the next episode.